What is going on with Zion Williamson? After getting surgery on his broken foot, rumors have been swirling of his discontent in New Orleans, even though he states publicly his love for the city. As the NBA season continues to draw closer and closer, and as excited as we are for opening night, there are storylines happening right now that have gotten our full attention. A lot has been made about Ben Simmons and his unhappiness with the Philadelphia 76ers. A recent report from NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski explains how Simmons does not want to suit up for the 76ers ever again and is prepared to sit out at training camp until a deal is completed, even if that means he has to pay a load of fines. Who knows, he might have to ask James Harden to borrow a fat suit to get traded. Now, for the most part, the main drama between players and teams have only revolved around Simmons and the Sixers, but it seems as if another star player has been growing resentful of his organization. Zion Williamson and the New Orlean Pelicans are believed to have been growing apart over the last year. Much of that conversation regarding this began when now retired NBA player and former member of the Pelicans, JJ Redick, called out the Pelicans front office for not being trustworthy. Redick and Williamson also happen to share the same agency, CAA Sports. Redick said that he does not expect his agency to trust the New Orleans management ever again, which isn't a huge deal with him announcing his retirement. Now naturally, that would apply to Zion as well, given that they have the same agency and all. A quote from The Athletic confirms, the issues did make an impact on Zion, as The Athletic stated, when the Pelicans traded JJ Redick to Dallas in March, it not only upset Redick, but also was said to have irritated Williamson. Redick was a veteran with whom Williamson had grown comfortable in their 2 seasons together, and the dysfunction that Redick accused the Pelicans of harboring is said to have stoked some of Williamson's own feelings with regards to the direction of the franchise. And Redick has not been much of a fire starter during his NBA career. He's been a player who's worked hard, keeps his head down, and makes a lot of three-pointers. Seriously, a lot. 1,953 three-pointers to be exact. So if Redick is going to say something like that, it's probably true. Some more news out of New Orleans was also concerning. Last season, there was reportedly tension between former head coach Stan Van Gundy and the Pelicans players. Van Gundy's coaching style did not suit the youthful talent of the Pelicans players, and thus caused a rift between the two sides. However, that was resolved when Van Gundy was replaced with former Suns assistant coach Willie Green. The Athletic also reported that members of Zion Williamson's family want him traded to a different organization. They have been unable to put together the right elements to make rising star Zion Williamson and his family happy, and multiple sources have told The Athletic that certain family members want Williamson on another team. But for the most part this season, certain Williamson family members voiced displeasure with the organization. Among the targets of their criticism was Van Gundy, who they felt was too rigid and demanding as a head coach, but also with the organization, which they claimed did not live up to what they felt should be the standard for a star like Williamson. Numerous opposing league executives have heard the complaints, and they were confirmed by Pelicans officials. So once again, some of the turmoil should be aided with the firing of Van Gundy. Still, there are clearly issues with the organization. Now, Zion is still very young, but his family's concerns could be his own concern. Apparently, the JJ Redick comments made him reconsider his future in New Orleans, but much of that drama mentioned was reported months ago. Wouldn't the noise have died down by now? Well, a different and more recent report was recently trending around Zion's relationship with New Orleans. According to reporter Christian Clark of the Times-Picayune, there has been souring of relationships between Zion and both the Pelicans, medical staff, and general manager David Griffin. Williamson suffered a knee injury during his rookie season, which caused him to miss some time. However, Zion was frustrated because he felt as if the Pelicans were forcing him to take too much time away from basketball. After receiving an initial timetable of no more than 2 months, Zion ended up having to sit up 3 months of the season. Upon finally returning, he was placed on burst limit. To clarify what that means, pitch counts in baseball are a great comparison. When a baseball pitcher is returning from injury, coaches will often not allow them to exceed a certain number of pitches thrown in an effort to help them fully recover. But Zion felt he was ready to go full speed and did not want to be limited. He was already upset about missing the extra month anyway, so this was just throwing more fuel on the fire. Now, David Griffin is also important in the matter because Pelican staff members supposedly have had issues with the general manager. They believe the way he's handled situations is not often in the team's best interest. When Alvin Gentry was the head coach of the Pelicans a couple seasons back, Griffin publicly blamed Gentry for the team's poor start. Since then, Griffin's reputation with the team has been on a steady decline. There have been stirrings that Zion might also be frustrated with Griffin. Here's an excerpt of a report that Clark shared about the relationship between Griffin and Williamson. Williamson's relationship with Griffin has also begun to sour. Although they communicate infrequently now, Griffin tried hard in Williamson's rookie year to forge a bond. One example, while the Pelicans were in the bubble, Griffin asked to meet with Williamson and played the piano for him. Okay, so at the very least, Griffin was supposedly making an effort to make amends with the young star. Not sure if Zion would have really loved the whole piano playing thing, but hey, I guess it's the thought that still counts. there still appears to be some tension at the root of the relationship. So with Zion most likely headed for a supermax deal at some point, the Pelicans have a decision to make. Do they want to try and lock up the young superstar and keep him for long term? Or should they try and trade him before they have to pay him a max deal or risk losing him in free agency and get nothing in return? One thing they need to reconsider is that Zion actually wished for the Nets to win the lottery and be taken first overall in the draft. Zion is on record saying that he likes playing in New York, so if he were to hit the open market, they might have to say farewell to him. If they decided that Williamson has no intention of staying with the organization, they might need to strike a deal soon. However, if they end up trading Zion, that would be a continuous series of misfortunes for the Pelicans. Back in 2012, they drafted a kid by the name of Anthony Davis first overall and had visions of him leading New Orleans to the finals. They even built one of the best front courts in the NBA by adding DeMarcus Cousins to the roster. But Cousins ended up getting injured and the Pelicans realized it was time to deal away Davis. Now during his 7 seasons in New Orleans, the Pelicans did make the playoffs twice, but each of those appearances ended up in early postseason exits. They're hoping that Zion and Brandon Ingram can lead them to the promised land, but all these whispers of dysfunction throughout their organization are not exactly going to appeal to Williamson. So yes, a trade could be on the horizon and the Los Angeles Lakers might be the ones to bite. The same team that traded Anthony Davis to, Zion is only owed $10.7 million a season and just over $13 million next year with a qualifying offer the following year. So at that price, as somewhat steep for a player of Zion's ability, those are pretty team-friendly numbers. The Lakers would be interested because their current window of winning is realistically only a couple of seasons given their players' age. If they want to stay competitive for the long term, Zion could be the answer. He would be a tremendous piece to build a winner around. Adding Zion would prove difficult since the Lakers are tied up financially and do not have much to offer. Players such as Malik Monk, Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and Mac McClung could all be part of a package that would have to include draft picks. An easier route to trade would be adding a third team into the deal to give New Orleans a greater return. So a trade such as this seems hard to imagine. There are ways to make it come to fruition. And given the possible desire of Williamson to leave New Orleans, they could get the ball rolling on a deal. So if the Lakers make a move to acquire Zion, they may jump ahead of the Brooklyn Nets as the favorite to win the finals. The team would be unfair, Russ at a point, a mix of LeBron and Zion at forwards, and Davis down low. That would be one of the most exciting teams to watch of all time, but anything short of a championship would be a disappointment. The last note to make is that Zion himself has remained relatively quiet on his drama with the Pelicans. While there's been plenty of bombshell reports, he has maintained a low profile. So Pelicans fans could hope that the rumors are exaggerated since Zion himself has not confirmed them. But in all likelihood, his PR team has probably told him not to say anything detrimental towards the team that pays his current contract, which of course is the smart decision if we're being honest. So what do you think about Zion and the Pelicans drama? Should New Orleans deal him before his big payday? Can the Lakers create a deal to acquire Zion? Will he be an MVP candidate this year? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing. Until next time, fam.